Business Weekly, brought to you by KCB. KCB, making the difference.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of KTN Business Weekly. I'm Michael Oyer. Tonight we focus on business continuity in case of a disaster. How prepared are we as a country, organizations and individuals? Also in the program, we feature an entrepreneur engaged in value addition on agricultural products. And later, we have an expert to respond to one of the questions you sent to us last week. Stay tuned, it might be your question we pick out. Good evening and welcome again. The earthquake and tsunami that hit Japan caused deaths in the tens of thousands and untold sums of damage. Though crippled, the country's industries are expected to be back in operation within the next quarter. And though it's not what we hope for, what would happen if Kenya suffered another disaster? What measures are there to protect businesses from such shocks and ensure quick recovery of all our enterprises, micro to large? And what would the country need to put in place to make such prudent measures even more effective? Our feature has more.
Images from Japan's devastating earthquake are still fresh in many people's minds as the death toll rises by the day. Over 11,200 people had been confirmed dead on Wednesday, and the sum of losses continues to build, as is the period that the country is expected to take to rebuild itself. Being a first world country and being prone to earthquakes, the level of disaster preparedness in Japan cannot be gainsaid. And while disasters strike without warning and at magnitude sometimes not foreseen, disaster preparedness should be a vital part of any business organization.
It is very important to ensure that as a business, one has adequate business continuity management plans that assess the risks that exist, and in the event that a disaster occurs, that one is able to invoke those plans.
Micro and small businesses are usually the most affected by such events. Cases of fire in unplanned settlements provide a grim reminder of how vulnerable such entities are, a reality that is enhanced by the lack of insurance cover.
If you have borrowed the money to start up your business, you are not only being exposed now to the risk of losing your money as a result of a fire, as a result of burglary, as a result of money lost or any other thing, you are also running the risk of having to pay a loan for a business that has already collapsed.
Judging from events past, the level of disaster preparedness in the country is poor, and all it takes to bring down new businesses, and sometimes businesses that have existed for many years, is a disaster, whether natural or caused by human error. Owing to the losses suffered and lack of a plan to recover or cushion losses in such cases, many families are thrown into poverty and take many years to regain their status.
As an entrepreneur, you're starting a business, you have employees, they are exposed to accidents as they are working for you. You have the potential ability of having to pay for them in the event that they were to be injured as they are doing your work as an entrepreneur. And you have that potential ability because the law provides that if I'm injured working for you, you must compensate me for those injuries.
And while businesses may take the necessary steps to ensure continuity after a disaster, it is also important to evaluate the country's preparedness for such events. The City Council, for instance, has repeatedly performed below average when responding to fires in and around the city, a picture that is further complicated by the number of buildings that have been constructed outside standard specifications and their ability to withstand the slightest tremor.
Protection of staff, people, comes foremost and should be a key part of a business continuity management planning process.
About 8 years ago, the Kenya government appointed Kenya Red Cross as the lead agency for sudden onset disasters. When disaster occur unexpectedly, then the Red Cross is expected to coordinate this with the government and with the other humanitarian actors and players. Now, to be able to take that responsibility very seriously, we have established a capacity that no one else in this country has, a capacity that can address the needs of 30,000 households, or if you multiply by 5, or by 6, it's 150 or 180,000 people's needs at any given time when a disaster occurs in terms of shelter, in terms of health, in terms of non-food items. We can address their well-being.
Although disaster in Japan claimed many lives, it could have been worse if the authorities had not issued a tsunami alert immediately after the earthquake was detected. The presence of an early warning system and the fact that most Japanese are well drilled for such emergencies led to fewer deaths. Apart from tenants in multi-story buildings where emergency drills for disaster preparation are conducted on regular basis, occupiers of small buildings are often exposed to the full impact of disasters when they strike.
There is a need to develop tools to put in resources in place that would go, first of all, to mitigating some of these factors of disasters, but more importantly, as and when they occur, then we are ready as a nation.
What we've been pushing for, although sometimes we are misunderstood, is to have all public buildings insured against third-party losses, because a lot of Kenyans are exposed to injuries and those kind of losses as they interact with these properties. We've not been able to push it through, but we think it's something that the government should consider.
Perhaps the loss of vital information is one of the most common causes of closure for medium and small enterprises. After being hit by a disaster, inability to reconstruct critical information can lead to unimaginable problems, and lack of offset backup facilities could leave any organization fatally bruised after a disaster strikes.
In addition to having business continuity management plans, it is also very important to ensure that those plans are tested on an ongoing basis and that the personnel or staff within the organization are aware of those plans and know what to do in the event of a disaster.
While Kenya may not have the economic might of Japan to effectively handle mega disasters, there is still room for action to ensure that measures are taken to reduce the impact of disasters once they take place. Business owners need to ask themselves how prepared they are and if they can survive if a major disaster took place, regardless of the fact that our culture makes it almost taboo to imagine the possibility of a catastrophe.
Time for a break, but when we return, we're at the Azuri factory here in Nairobi, where we learn how the proprietor and owner, Tei Mukunya, is making a living for herself and thousands of farmers by adding value to raw produce from her farms. That and your question answered on the other side of this break. Stay with KTN Business Weekly.
Agriculture, especially subsistence farming, can be very frustrating and unrewarding, but that is only if it is not done the right way. Take these bananas for instance. To make an income out of them, a farmer has to ensure that they are in the market on time and are sold immediately. Every day spent after that without a sale adds on to losses for the farmer. The Muranga Nutri Business Project has, however, found a way out of this to make agriculture as profitable as it should be. And the answer is in value addition.
We buy the raw materials from the local farmers. After that, we start processing. What we deal with is we deal with the bananas, beans, pumpkin mallow, carrots, pumpkin leaves, amaranthus, and maize.
But pulling together has been a significant component toward the success of their venture.
We do benefit because we sell our products from the farmers, and also we are earning because we are employed. And also it's empowering the women from Malawi.
It is on such groups that upcoming brands such as Azuri, known for its health foods, have succeeded because it is easier to collect raw material from a group than from an individual, and quantities are guaranteed, and setting off a production cycle that leaves everyone in the chain with a profit and makes the product appeal to the customer, the whole essence of value addition.
Yeah, it's not the Italian soccer team, but it's Kitu Kizuri. It's a Kenyan. We look at it from a Kenyan perspective. Something nice, something healthy, something good. We work together with farmer groups. So if we are adding value or showing them how to add value or working with them to process these products, we work with an assortment of farmers. And because we're a market linkage company, we look at the variety of ways they can get their produce to the market.
Tei Mukunya, an MBA holder in strategic management, delved into this venture 3 years ago after working in the corporate world and feeling the urge to do something different.
There's a lot of money pumped into producer groups and farmers processing their products, and we have many factories out there. So when we came close to one called Murang'a Women's Nutri Business, so we teamed up with them. And we started off, in a friendly way. They knew us, we knew them, and we thought we could do something with the products. But as we ventured into selling their products, we realized that there's more groups that are there and needing the same kind of service.
Under the Azuri Health, she gets raw produce from farmers, then turns them into products that can be sold at slightly higher prices.
We have vegetables, we have terere, amaranth, the vegetable part of it. We have not ventured into the grain. Then we have pumpkin leaves. We work with pumpkins as well, the pumpkin marrow, carrots. We value add fruits like mangoes. We value add bananas as well. We value add legumes, beans in particular. We pre-cook them so that we do not have any problems, because we offer these products to children, and so we expect that they do not have any negative reactions. So we pre-cook the legumes and then we dry and process them into flour. And then we have cereals, and those ones, since they are readily available, we buy them off the market.
She has assembled a customized solar and electric drying facility from locally available and affordable material that has made it possible for her to dry various foods, fruits and vegetables, preserving them with their nutritional content before turning them into special health products.
There's so many products, we haven't even started to exhaust them. And a lot of the traditional foods grew wild. There's a lot of information that was with us traditionally, and now it's coming back, and we're interpreting it into products that are useful for our own nutritional benefits.
This is just one of the many products that she has developed, a special porridge flour that is composed of a variety of foods that make it have a higher nutritional value.
There's solar drying, but then again, when we don't have solar, we need to switch to electricity, and so that is a cost, because we have to sustain. If you've interested the consumer in having dried mangoes throughout the year, you need to process them very fast. And also bulking, because if you take a processed product, let's say dried, and you've dehydrated a product like a sweet potato, you've retained 10% of its content. So you need quite a lot of sweet potatoes to make 1 kilo.
For mangoes and pineapples, she buys them in plenty at a lower price during their season, dries them, then packages them. They are later sold in a unique form, ensuring their availability throughout the year.
We need not to do things the regular way, because the regular way we lose a lot more. That mango is so much more valuable, kept and processed and retained in a form that can still have like almost 100% of the offer that it originally had. A fresh mango will go bad in a few days, but a dried mango will last a whole year, and you can still have the convenience of having the same nutrition.
Murang'a Women Nutri Business project, that is about 40 kilometers from Thika town, is just one of the groups which is following the new trend. She works closely with a group composed of more than 350 farmers in Murang'a and such others to provide a ready market for their products.
We have discovered techniques that give you the product almost 100% what it had to offer when it was fresh. And we're able to have it stable on the shelf with good quality. And we have products that are very valuable. And now with the change of nutrition, we believe that, again, what we need is to have the consumer take them and use them and notice the difference, because you will notice the difference.
In the review of the markets over the week, economic growth, as last reported, still stands at 6.1% and inflation at 6.54%. At the auction on Monday, both the 91-day and 182-day Treasury bill rates increased, an increase from 2.78% to 2.90% for the 91-day bill and from 2.85% to 3.27% for the 182-day Treasury bill. The 364 Treasury bill was last auctioned on the 7th of March and is attracting just shy of 4%. And those are the bank lending, deposit and savings rates. At the beginning of the quarter ending now. Looking at the stock exchange, there are 17 stocks trading with dividends with yields ranging from 0.5% at NIC Bank to 6.7% for Carbacid investment stock. The Standard Group is yet to announce when books close and when payment is due, and Kennel Cobil is yet to announce a payment date. The other 13 stocks for dividends include KPLC, whose books close and payments are due tomorrow, Standard Chartered Bank, National Bank of Kenya, BOC Kenya, KCB, Pan Africa Insurance Holdings, CFC Stanbic Holdings, Diamond Trust Bank, Athi River Mining, Kakuzi, TPS Eastern Africa, Cooperative Bank and Total Kenya. In your questions answered, we picked this question from Helen, who writes from Nakuru. She says, I'm 48 years old, have a 5-acre piece of land in Nakuru and 700,000 shillings that I would like to invest in poultry. What is your advice? She asks, and we put that question to Samora Kariuki from Zimele Asset Management.
Thank you, Michael. In the case of Helen, it is really commendable that you're venturing into the poultry keeping business. You've got two great factors working to your advantage. The first is the land, and the second is that you have the capital. The land will augur well for you as it will increase the chances of scalability. In other words, you'll be able to grow your business bigger and serve a bigger market. However, before you venture, it is important to get information about the business. Get information about where you'll source your materials, such as housing, chicken feed, and your chicks. The fact that you're in Nakuru is also a great advantage because there are many hotels, schools, and other catering activities that will offer you a market for your poultry.
Well, if you have a question, please do send it to KTN Biz Weekly at standardmedia.co.ke or by phone to 8040, starting with the words Business Weekly. Let us know your thoughts and do send that question for an expert via email, ktnbizweekly at standardmedia.co.ke, or send a text message to 8040 starting with the words Business Weekly. From the entire KTN Business Weekly team, you may contemplate your preparedness until next week's edition of KTN Business Weekly. I'm Michael Oyer. Good night.
Business Weekly, brought to you by KCB. KCB, making the difference.